Hello, Math 150 students, and welcome to another Math 150 College Algebra Assistance video. I'll be your host today, Shea Ortega, on behalf of the SEC Math Department. Today it looks like we'll be dealing with horizontal shifts, which are Lesson 2, page 28 in your activity guide. We'll notice that we've been given two graphs, both graph A and graph B. We'll notice that graph B has been shifted to the right by 2 units. The equation for graph A is f of x equals x squared. Then the equation for graph B is g of x, so we need to find out g of x. To do this, what I like to do is I like to look at a single point on the graph. I like to look at the origin usually because that's the easiest. Because when we use f of x, when we put x as 0 in for that, we get 0 out for y. Now what we have to do is we need to change this so that when we put in a value of 2 instead of 0, we get 0 out. Now if we kind of look at this in parts, the first portion of it will be, well, okay, if we need to make our output be 0, the easiest way to do that would be 2 as an input minus itself, which would be 0. So if I had 2 minus 2 and I squared that, I would get out 0. So basically that tells me that I can have x minus 2, and if I square that, I should get out the corresponding values with that. To check, I can look at my graph over here, and if I were to put in 3, for example, I would have 3 minus 2, which would be 1, and if I squared that, I would get 1, which is my y value. If I put in 1, 1 minus 2 would end up being negative 1, and if I squared that, I would get 1. If I put in 4, I'd have 4 minus 2. 4 minus 2 would be 2. If I squared that, I'd get 4, so that matches up as well. And if I put in 0, 0 minus 2 would be negative 2, and if I squared that, I'd get 4. So it looks like a good equation for g of x would be x minus 2 squared. Now for number 3, we're supposed to write a formula that reflects f of x and g of x in a single equation. Now to do this, we can kind of look at the two. So we know that g of x equals x minus 2 squared, and we know that f of x equals x squared. So what we can do to get those into one nice equation is we can look at just the x portion of it. If we look at just the x portion of it, we're squaring in both operations, but the x is a little bit different. So what we can do is we can actually look at the fact that g of x is actually f of x minus 2. Because if you look at it, if we were to put x minus 2 in for x, we would have g of x. So g of x equals f of x minus 2. That would be our single equation.